So, as a lot of you guys may have well, none of you guys, let's be honest. So, I don't have anybody watching me right now at this point in time, but for future purposes, just in case someone wants to come back and watch my really shitty stuff back at the beginning, this is the first one that I am doing, the first video, stream, whatever, that I'm doing that is different. As you can see on the screen right now, I have the West Virginia Legislature website up. And the reason I have that is because I noticed that amongst all of the political pundits out there, all of them, you've got your big ones, you've got like your Fox News, your CNN, MSNBC, those ones, right? Your news outlets, and then you have your actual pundits, like on the internet, you have like Steven Crowder, you have Ben Shapiro, and even Sargon of Akkad or Tim Pool are considered pundits. As well as on the left, you have like the Majority Report, or you got your Destiny, your Vosh, your Hassan, people like that. But they, as good as they are for their community, for helping with a little bit of an echo chamber, the issue I've noticed is that they cover all of the news, all of what's happening in everyone's face, but they don't really talk about what's going on behind the scenes or how we actually do things. So this is going to be my way of kind of unorthodoxly stepping into the position of a legislative analyst. So what I'm doing is every stream from now on, ideally every stream, and unless I get really really big and then you guys want to watch me play video games, I'm okay with that. Um, yeah, please. But every stream, I'm going to be looking at least two bills that are currently going on in the West Virginia legislature. West Virginia, of course, because that's where I'm at right now. I live in West Virginia. This will change, of course, if I end up moving. So you guys will always know. I'm kind of light doxing myself here, if you will. But it's really important to go through and understand how these pieces of legislation affect things and what they say and how they work. Because if you can get a base on just your state legislature, then you can kind of understand the federal legislature, the things that your actual senators are doing. And a lot of people don't understand. They see the page and it's nonsense. It's garbled. There's nothing good going on. So I'm going to try and help demystify it a little bit. And this is my first time doing this as well. I've looked at a couple of bills in the past, but I figure it might be more natural to just learn together. That seems pretty okay to me. So, to my knowledge, all you have to do is click House up here for House, Senate for Senate, but the big one for us is going to be bill status, right? You can go to the House to find bills that are related to the House. You can even find, I'm pretty sure, the PDFs of like, uh, what's it called? Stenographers, the stenographers' notes, things like that. But we're going to look at bill status because we can track these bills and look at whether or not they're passing and what they're about. So let's start with bill status. I'm looking at West Virginia's, of course. This might be different for yours. So if we just all bills, House and Senate, boom, just like that. So we can look at just Senate, just House, it looks like right here. But right now we're looking at all of them. So you'll notice the first thing is that there's a bill right here. In this SB1 all the way down, probably hundreds and hundreds of them. But the SB stands for Senate Bill. So, with them having a Senate bill as the title, it goes to the Senate. And you'll see if we do House, it'll say HB. Right, see? Uh, and then you have the official title of the bill, which is stuff like, for example, the Affordable Care Act, right? That's what it would say here. The HEROES Act, the CARES Act, things like that would happen here. So these are all pending ones, but let's see if we can find, we'll go back to all bills, and we'll see if we can find a couple that have actually passed. Look, okay, so here's one. So this SB6 allowing DOH issue permits for certain tractors with certain trailers not exceeding specified maximum axle weights. So if we click on this bill, it shows you when everything was actually put in. So you see filed for introduction all the way up to approved by the governor and then officially put into effect. So you can see the actual text of it right here. And it looks like these are the amendments that were made on the floor. So they get it to the floor and then they argue about it for some amount of time. Fun fact, in a lot of states, most of your legislators, they don't actually even read the bills. They just have people that, like I'm trying to do right now, legislative analysts, they have them summarize bills for them so that they don't have to read the whole thing, which seems like a big no-no. If you're actually in Congress, you should probably read all the bills you do, but that's okay. No big deal. So the bill text, we're going to do the signed enrolled version, and we're going to be able to see it. Boom, right here. West Virginia Legislature 2020 regular session, Senate Bill 6, Senators Klein and Robert, the original sponsors. Okay. So what I'm going to try and do here is just read it out to you and then summarize it and then give you at the end my opinion of it, right? So you'll get just a straight up reading, then a summarization, then you can get what I think about it, an opinion piece at the end. So if you want to skip over each opinion piece because you're only here for the facts and they don't care about my feelings, that's fine. So Senate Bill 6 seems pretty banal, but an act to amend and reenact a prior bill. This is one we could go look at. We could probably... Oh, man, I think I just clicked on it and it worked. It hyperlinked out. Yeah? Check that out. Fantastic. Let's go back and let's see. Yeah, all right. Wow, so there are hyperlinks everywhere. So we're here back to Senate Bill 6, the enrolled version of the PDF. Let's see if we can right-click on that. Didn't I just click on that and it went? We're learning together. We're copying that. We're going to bring up the West Virginia legislature again. WV state legislature. It's really this simple too. You just go to Google and then right there you can find it. And I'm sure it's the same for any state. So we can paste. I don't know why it saved my Naruto posts. I don't like that. Let's back that up and try again. No, doesn't want anything to do with it. Oh, okay. So this is searching all of Google instead. So maybe we can find it by going back to bill status. So that'd be 17C. We're going to figure this out, I promise. An act to amend and reenact 17C 17-11 of the Code of West Virginia 1931 as amended, relating to authorizing the Commissioner of the Division of Highways to issue permits for certain tractors with certain trailers that do not exceed specified maximum axle weights. Man, this reading part would be a lot better if I could actually read. Don't make fun of me, though, all right? That's ableist. I'm illiterate. Be it enacted by the legislature of West Virginia. Article 17, size, weight, and load. Okay, so that was the actual official article number then. Good enough. This thing here, this obnoxious thing. So, these numbers on the side, if anybody's curious, by the way, are literally just line numbers so that when they argue about it, like really loudly in the actual Senate or House, if it gets there, they can just say, well, starting at line 9 or whatever, then you can go through. So, huh, weird. There's been some construction going on, like right outside my house, so weird noises. All right, so back to it. Permits for excess size and weight. The Commissioner of the Division of Highways may, in his or her discretion, upon application in writing and good cause shown, issue a special permit in writing authorizing 1. The applicant, in crossing any highway of this state, to operate or move a vehicle combination or combination of vehicles of a size or weight or load, exceeding the maximum specified in this chapter or otherwise not in conformity with the provisions of this chapter, whether the operation is continuous or not, provided the applicant agrees to compensate the Commissioner of the Division of Highways for all damages or expenses incurred in connection with the crossing. The applicant to operate or move a vehicle or combination of vehicles of a size or weight of vehicles or non-divisible load exceeding the maximum specified in this chapter or otherwise not in conformity with the provisions of this chapter. And 3. The applicant to move or operate for limited or continuous operation a vehicle hauling containerized cargo in a sealed seagoing container to or from a seaport or inland waterway port that has or will be transported by marine shipment where the vehicle is not, as a result of hauling in the container, in conformity with the provisions of this article relating to weight limitations upon the conditions that A, the container be hauled only on the roadways and highways designated by the Commissioner of the Division of Highways, or B, the contents of the container are not changed from the time it is loaded by the what is a consigner? We're learning, baby. You and me together. Somebody's gonna come back and watch this and be like, I'm gonna get my legislative stuff from this guy. This is brilliant. A consigner is the sender of goods that the consignee is the receiver of the goods. Whoa, check that out. Okay, so the consigner in this case, the contents of the container are not changed from the time it is loaded by the consigner or the consigner's agent to the time it is delivered to the consignee or the consignee's agent. Okay, so it just means that the container can't be changed. Easy enough. Okay. I'm trying not to summarize in the middle because I'm going to summarize each section afterwards, but Jesus, they're so long. C. Any additional conditions as the Commissioner of the Division of Highways or the Public Service Commission may impose to otherwise ensure compliance with the provisions of this chapter. B. 1. The Commissioner of the Division of Highways may issue a special permit to operate or move a vehicle or combination of vehicles of a size or weight of vehicles or non-divisible load exceeding the maximum specified in this chapter or otherwise not in conformity with the provisions of this chapter over routes. I don't know how to say words. You have to forgive me here. Of this chapter over routes designated by the Commissioner of the Division of Highways upon terms and restrictions prescribed by the Public Service Commission, together with the Commissioner of the Division of Highways. For purposes of this section, non-divisible load means any load exceeding applicable length or weight limits which, if separated into smaller loads or vehicles, would A. compromise the intended use of the vehicle to the extent that the separation would make it unable to perform the function in which it was intended. B. Destroy the value of the load or vehicle to the extent that the separation would make it unusable for its intended purpose. Or C. Require more than 8 work hours to dismantle using appropriate equipment, provided that the applicant for a non-divisible load permit has the burden of proof as to the number of work hours required to dismantle the load. 3. The Commissioner of the Division of Highways may, in his or her discretion, upon application in writing and based upon an engineering analysis, issue a special permit in writing authorizing the applicant, when operating upon any highway of this state designated by the Commissioner, to operate or move a vehicle or combination of vehicles hauling commodities manufactured for interstate commerce of a size or weight or divisible load exceeding the maximum specified in this chapter, or otherwise not in conformity with the provisions of this chapter, whether the operation is continuous or not. So, A. The engineering and analysis must demonstrate that the vehicle permitted under this subdivision does not adversely affect the designated routes when compared to the size, weight, and load provisions of this chapter. The maximum gross vehicle weight permitted under this section is 120,000 pounds. C. The permit may contain any additional conditions the Commissioner of the Division of Highways or the Public Service Commission may impose to otherwise ensure compliance with the provisions of this chapter. Oh man, dude, this stuff is so boring. I can see why nobody ever makes money on this stuff. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm not gonna draw an audience in like this. This is wild. All right. The Commissioner of the Division of Highways may, in his or her discretion, upon application in writing, issue a special permit in writing. That's in writing twice. In writing, authorizing the applicant to transport logs, wood chips, timber, other natural raw wood, lumber, paper, wood veneer, wood pellets, or any other wood product of the forest, craft, or manufacturing. The vehicle authorized by the permit shall be a tractor semi-trailer combination with 6 axles, each axle equipped with brakes, and limited to a maximum gross vehicular weight of 94,000 pounds. Without any tolerance, the maximum weight of each axle, beginning with the steering axle commencing afterwards, respectively, shall be 15,000 pounds, 17,000 pounds, 17,000 pounds, 15,000 pounds, 15,000 pounds, and 15,000 pounds. The tractor shall have 1 steer axle and 2 drive axles in tandem, and the trailer shall have 3 trailer axles in tridem. Is that a word? What? No, this has to be looked at. This has to be, I'm sorry, guys. Tridem. It is a thing. That's what it means. Tridem. An arrangement of 3 objects. Wow, yeah, one behind the other. That is actually... So, is tandem just 2? Is that all tandem is? Man, I'm learning today, baby. Double D's in that tandem. Yeah. Having 2 things arranged one in front of the other. So, in tandem and then in tridem. Wow, all kinds of stuff. All right. Anyway, so the tractor shall have 1 steer axle and 2 drive axles in tandem, and the trailer shall have 3 trailer axles in tridem. The distance between the last drive axle of the tractor and the first trailer axle shall be a minimum of 29 feet and 6 inches. The Commissioner of the Division of Highways may issue permits for 4-axle tractors, provided 1 steering axle and 3 axles in tridem in combination with dual-axle pup trailers, provided that the maximum weight of each axle for pup combination vehicles, beginning with the steering axle commencing rearward, respectively, does not exceed 14,500 pounds, 16,613 pounds, or 613. Wow, I'm going off today. 16,613 pounds, 16,614 pounds, 16,613 pounds, 14,830 pounds, and 14,830 pounds. Permits under this division will not be issued for any vehicle traveling on interstate routes. The application for any permit other than special annual permit shall specifically describe the vehicle or vehicles and load to be operated or moved along or across the highway in the particular highway or crossing of the highway for which the permit to operate is requested, and whether the permit is requested for a single trip or for a continuous operation. Man, how much more? Last page. I'm dying here. The Public Service Commission is authorized to issue or withhold a permit at its discretion, or if the permit is issued, to limit the number of trips or to establish seasonal or other time limitations within which the vehicles described may be operated on or across the highways indicated, or otherwise to limit or prescribe conditions of operation of the vehicle or vehicles when necessary to assure against undue damage to the road foundations, surface, or structures, and may require the undertaking, bond, or other security considered necessary to compensate for any injury to any roadway structure, and to specify the type, number, and the location for escort vehicles for any vehicle, provided that in establishing limitations on permits issued under this section, the Public Service Commission shall consult with the Commissioner of the Division of Highways and may not issue, limit, or condition a permit in a manner inconsistent. I'm dying. In a manner inconsistent with the authority of the Commissioner of the Division of Highways. The Public Service Commission may charge a fee for the insurance of a permit for a mobile home and a reasonable fee for the issuance. The Public Service Commission may charge a fee for the issuance of a permit of a mobile home and a reasonable fee for the issuance of a permit for any other vehicle under the provisions of this section to pay the administrative costs thereof. Every permit shall be carried in the vehicle or combination of vehicles to which it refers and shall be open to inspection by any police officer or authorized agent of the Commissioner of the Division of Highways or the Public Service Commission, and no person shall violate any of the terms or conditions of the special permit. So, essentially, you can look down here and you'll see at this point, you're seeing this is all stuff that's just normal. This is our typical way to get permits for things that you can't usually carry, right? And they've essentially just changed it up a little bit in this. It looks like that now they're able to allow stranger things on the road. Of course, given the ability that they can actually carry it and that their vehicles are to these very strange specifications. I'm sure that it's like natural and well put together, and whoever, came to the conclusion that it should be like these specific poundages did some research into it to find out why. But it seems like all this is allowing more and different vehicles to be allowed to carry more and different loads, as long as they take the responsibility of paying for damages that they might do to the roads that they end up driving on. So it seems pretty straightforward. All you have to do is talk to the Commissioner of the Division of Highways and get yourself a special application for this one. Straightforward, pretty easy. Seems reasonable to me. I don't see any issues here. It's just like, dude, this is West Virginia. There's probably a bill somewhere that says that you're allowed to drive your tractor on the highway. Let's be real. I know where I live. So this seems pretty easy, straightforward, reasonable. Nothing wild here, which is why I started with a bill like this. I wanted to find preferably the least contentious type of bill I could find and just go through how they kind of work. So you can see that these are pretty straightforward when you actually look at them. They just are really long and really boring and really drawn out. You can take a couple words worth of sentencing and turn it into what is this, 8 pages, 5 pages, 5 full pages of writing just to make sure everything's put in there correctly. um so yeah, first bill down, pretty straightforward, easy one, not a big deal. All right, so let's go back. We approve here at uh Neil Incorporated of Senate Bill 6. So that's fine. Okay, so now let's do a very contentious one. Raising age of children who are victims of certain sex offenses to 16. I don't know what that means, but we're going to find out. So they have only the introduced version because it's only been introduced to the judiciary. So pretty straightforward. Actually, I think. Oh, okay. Now this is just bills to the judiciary. Okay. So essentially, what to judiciary means is uh, they actually have judges and lots and lots of people in the front end of the process. A lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Like clerical staff, like secretary types and whatnot. They run through it, and their analysts will check and see if the bill is even reasonable to ever hit the floor. And if the bill's not reasonable to even hit the floor, then it won't hit the floor. And they send it to the judiciary first to make sure that it can reasonably hit the floor. That's what the file for introduction is. The judiciary reviews it and then sends it off. That's how I was informed. I could be wrong. I'm gonna double check this stuff for you. So if I'm wrong, you bet your ass the next video, maybe the next video, I'm gonna be able to tell you. So right here, there's the affected codes, and then there's the introduced version. So what you can do is you can look at these specific codes, right? You can link out to these ones, maybe. Come on. No, not gonna let me. Wow. Leave it to West Virginia. Oh, okay. Fantastic. So these are the codes right here. A person is guilty of sexual abuse in the first degree when 1. Such person subjects another person to sexual contact without their consent, and the lack of consent results from forcible compulsion, or 2. Such person subjects another person to sexual contact who is physically helpless, or 3. Such person being 14 years old or more subjects another person to sexual contact who is younger than 12 years old. One more time with that. Such person being 14 years old or more subjects another person to sexual contact who is younger than 12 years old. Okay, now that that's definitely clear. B. Any person who violates the provisions of this section shall be guilty of a felony and, upon conviction thereof, shall be imprisoned in a state correctional facility not less than 1 year nor more than 5 years, or fined not more than $10,000 and imprisoned in a state correctional facility not less than 1 year nor more than 5 years. I don't know if I like that. Ooh. Notwithstanding the provisions of subsection B of this section, the penalty for any person violating the provisions of subsection A, which is this one, of this section, who is 18 years of age or older, and whose victim is younger than 12 years of age, shall be imprisoned for no less than 5 and no more than 25 years, fined not less than $1,000 and no more than $5,000. Okay. So that's that's where it's at right now, it looks like. It says there were other amendments to the code. We could probably look at the dates of these two to see which ones happened first. I'm assuming it's 8B7, 8B9A, 8B9B. Yeah. So, mandatory sentence for a person committing certain sex offenses against children, notwithstanding the provisions of Article 1A, Article 11A, Section 4, Article 11B, and Section 2, Article 12 of Chapter 62 of this code, a person shall not be eligible for probation, home incarceration, or alternative sentencing provided under this code if they are convicted of an offense under the Section 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, or 9, Article 8B, Chapter 61 of this code, are 18 years of age or older. If the victim is younger than 12 years of age, and the finder of fact determines that one of the following aggravated circumstances exists: the person employed forcible compulsion in commission of the offense constituted, resulted from, or involved predatory act as defined by subsection M. I'm sure all of these sections and subsections are in the official bill, but these are things that it looks like they're adjusting on the fly. Like, they have put this bill through legislation once, and now they're amending it. And that's what you see the most. There's not a whole lot of brand new legislation that gets put out. Typically, the legislation is just being amended. Most of the time, you don't actually make a new bill. You just adjust an old bill. So 3, the person was armed with a weapon or any article used or fashioned in a manner to lead the victim to reasonably believe to be a dangerous weapon and used to threaten weapon or article to cause the victim to submit. Or 4, the person removed the victim from one place to another and did not release the victim in a safe place. For the purpose of this section, release the victim in a safe place means release of a victim in a place or manner which realistically conveys to the victim that he or she is free from captivity in circumstances and surroundings wherein aid is readily available. B1, the existence of any fact which would make any person ineligible for probation under Section A of this section because of the existence of aggravated circumstances shall not be applicable unless such fact is clearly stated and included in the indictment or presentment by which such person is charged and is either 1. I promise I don't have the Rona. 1. Found by the court upon a plea of guilty or nolo contendere. What is this? Oh man. I bet most of these Trump supporters are real happy that it looks like this word's in Spanish. I'm assuming it's no contest. A plea by which the defendant in a criminal prosecution accepts conviction as though a guilty plea had been entered but does not admit guilt. Is nolo contendere is Latin for I do not wish to contend, also known as a plea of no contest. So, a guilty plea or plea of no contest. See, we're learning. Yes. The more you know. Found by the jury if the matter. Found by the court upon plea of guilty or no contest. Or 2, found by the jury if the matter be tried before a jury. That's if the matter be tried before a jury. I don't know why they would say found by a jury if the matter be tried by a jury, because you're presupposing the jury. I don't write these right now, so give me a break. Submitting to such jury a special interrogatory for such purpose, or 3, found by the court if the matter be tried by the court without a jury. And then 2, insofar as the provisions of this section relate to mandatory sentences without probation, home incarceration, or alternative sentences, all such matters requiring such sentence shall be proved beyond a reasonable doubt in all cases tried. Okay, so it's all, prove without a shadow of a doubt. Like, you have to prove that they did it. And then 9B, Why is this one different? It looks like it's in different font and stuff. That's all right. Whew. So enhanced penalties for subsequent offenses committed by those previously convicted of sexually violent offenses against children. Notwithstanding any provisions of this article to the contrary, any person who has been convicted of a sexually violent offense as defined in Section 2, Article 12, Chapter 15 of this code, against a victim under the age of 12 years old, and thereafter commits and thereafter is convicted of one of the following offenses shall be subject to the following penalties unless another provision of this code authorizes a longer sentence. So this means they can't be sentenced for less than what we're looking at now. This is the most recent amendment, but they can be sentenced for longer. For a violation of Section 3 of this article, the penalty shall be imprisonment in state correction facility for no less than 50 nor more than 150 years. So the minimum for whatever violation of Section 3 is 50 years. Minimum. 2. For a violation of Section 4 of this article, the penalty shall be imprisonment in state correctional facilities no less than 30, no more than 100 years. For violation of Section 5 under this, it shall be no less than 5 and no more than 25. For a violation of Section 7, the penalty should be no less than 10 and no more than 35. Notwithstanding the penalty provisions of Section 8 of this article, a violation of its provisions by a person previously convicted of sexually violent offense, as defined by Section 2, Article 12, Chapter 15 of this code, shall be a felony, and the penalty, therefore, without an E. The penalty, therefore, shall be imprisonment in a state correctional facility for not less than 3 nor more than 15 years, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 2, Article 12, Chapter 62 of this code. Any person sentenced pursuant to this section shall not be eligible for probation. Fair enough. Notwithstanding the provisions of Section 1A, Article 11 and 11A, and Section 4, Article 11B of Chapter 62 of this code, a person sentenced under this section shall not be eligible for home incarceration or alternative sentence. All right. So far, it said if you inappropriately touch children, you cannot get probation. The very minimum you can get is 5 years, it looks like. And you're also not allowed to do, like, you don't get probation. You also can't do house arrest. You have to be in jail for at least 5 years. So now let's go back and read the original bill with the amendments that they're doing now put in. Because it says the summary is raising the age of children who are victim of certain sex offenses to 16. And that doesn't, like, that, I don't know how I feel about it. We're going to have to see. Because if it's raising age of children who are victims of certain sex offenses to 16, I'm not sure. We're gonna have to check this. So, in the case of things that you can see, things that are underlined are new. Things that have been crossed out are old, and they're getting rid of them. So these are adjustments. You can see all of this stuff that's going on here. So this one's not too long either. All right, so a bill to amend and reenact these bills that we just saw earlier, 8B7, 8B9A, 8B9B of the Code of West Virginia in 1931, as amended, all relating to raising the age of children who are victims of certain sex offenses to 16. A person guilty of sexual abuse in the first degree, when the person, so that's new language, so before it just said when, a person who is guilty of sexual abuse in the first degree, when, and then it would go on. So it looks like for the most part this is just cleaning up things. When the person probably could still be left out. When the person subjects another person to sexual contact without their consent and the lack of consent results from forcible compulsion, or subjects another person to sexual contact who is physically helpless, or being 19 is new, 19 years old or more, used to be 14, being 19 years old or more, subjects another person to sexual contact who is younger than 16 years old. Okay, so a person is guilty of sexual abuse in the first degree, and they switched it from being 14 years old, assaulting a 12-year-old, and adjusted it to 19 years old over a 16-year-old. Any person who violates the provisions of this section is, not shall be, is guilty of a felony, and upon conviction thereof shall be imprisoned in state correctional facility for no less than 1 year, nor more than 5, nor fined not more than $10,000, and imprisoned in state correctional facility not less than 1 year or more than 5. Notwithstanding the provisions of subsection B, right here, the penalty for any person violating the provisions of subsection A, here, this thing, of this section, who is 18 years of age or older and whose victim is younger than 16 years of age, shall be imprisonment. The penalty for any person violating this shall be imprisonment for not less than 5 years nor more than 25 years, and fined not less than 1,000 nor more than 5,000. So it raised it up to where if you do stuff like this and you force yourself on someone who is 16 now instead of 12 before, and you're 18, you get 5 to 25 years minimum. So that seems pretty straightforward. This is just a weird one. I think it says that the bill was written in 1931, so it looks like this 14 and 12 stuff, where if you're 14 or older and you subject someone to sexual contact who is 12, that seems pretty ridiculous to me. But, I mean, it was the 30s, so maybe different time, different place. But I think that if you're 19, you probably shouldn't have sex with a 16-year-old in general. That's probably a good thing. Yeah, that seems right. That seems okay. It seems like a more culturally relevant age gap there. Yeah, I think that's fine. It sounded a lot worse whenever it set it up here, because the way they were talking in the other sections, these subsections, 11A and whatnot, so forth, they were implying that it was essentially going to be easier, which isn't what it is, thankfully. So, mandatory sentence for person committing sex. Is this it? No. Okay, so went through that. Mandatory sentence for person committing certain sex offenses against children. Notwithstanding, despite the provisions above, a person is not eligible for probation, home incarceration, or alternative sentence if they are convicted of an offense under any of those previously stated things of this code, are 18 years of age or older, the victim is younger than 16 now, not 12. Again, that seems pretty reasonable because 12 is under 16. 16 years of age, and the finder of the fact determines that one of the following aggravated circumstances exists. The person employed forcible compulsion in commission of the offense is constituted, resulted, or involved a predatory act as defined in whatever this part of the code is. We could look at that if this is pretty straightforward. But the offense is constituted, resulted, or involved a predatory act. This probably just defines predatory acts. 3, the person was armed with a weapon or any article used to fashion in any manner. So this is what we read earlier. This is the actually it says it right here. So when we went back and read 8B-9A, right there. These are the adjustments to it. So coming here, you can see all of the same language, except for things like notwithstanding, shall not be, and provided under this code, switched out for more modern wording so that it's less ridiculous to try to read. You see, shall be is gone and is now in place. So, notwithstanding is now turned to despite, is, shall not be, is not. Things like that are switching, but everything else is the same, minus, again, the 12 years old and so forth. So, this one now says any provision of this article contrary notwithstanding any provision of this article to the contrary, any person who has been convicted of sexually violent offenses as defined by the up there part of this code against a victim under the age of now 16, not 12 years old, and thereafter commits and thereafter is convicted of one of the following offenses is subject to the following penalties unless another provision of this code authorizes a longer sentence. Again, so, in violation of this one, not less than 50. In violation of this one, not less than 30. Now 5, and then 10 and more. So we could even look and see what these ones are to see whether or not. So a person is guilty of it in the first degree, this sexual assault in the first degree. The person engages in sexual intercourse or sexual intrusion with another person and, in doing so, inflicts serious bodily injury upon anyone or employs a deadly weapon in the commission of the act, or 2. The person, being 14 years old or more, engages in sexual intercourse or sexual intrusion with another person who is younger than 12 years old and is not married to that person. Weird statute. I wonder if they're changing this one. 8B3, 61 8B3. Because I don't believe, if we go back to all bills, it was pretty straightforward. It was Senate Bill 7. It's in the Senate Judiciary Committee right now. We're still waiting on it to go through. Lead sponsors, Azinger. Sponsors are Roberts. So 61 8B, 61 8B3. And this is 61 8B9. So we would probably do SB 61 8, right? We'll try that. SB 61. Okay, so must enter a bill number only. Okay, so you can't do SBs. So let's go to Senate bills over here. Let's go to Senate Bill 61. Because that's assumably where it would be. That's what it says. SB 61. Nope, relating to the safety of tow trucks records. So. Oh, okay, no, it doesn't. It's just. What is this thing? We're looking this up. We're doing it. The section sign is a typographical character or for referencing individually numbered sections of a document. Is frequently used when citing sections of legal code. It is also known as the section symbol, section mark, double S, or Silk Row. Hey, okay, that's pretty cool. The Silk Row. Double S is there. Okay. So it's section 61, 8B-3. Chapter 61, Crimes and Their Punishment. Article 8A. This is pretty weird. Any person being 14 years old or more engages in sexual intercourse or sexual intrusion with another person who is younger than 12 and is not married. That's the kicker right there. That's really weird. Because if you're doing stuff, like, you shouldn't be married at that old anyway, but if you're doing stuff kind of rapey like that, maybe not. Let's not do that. So it has the previous one and the one after that. And they look like it looks like they go in order. Okay. So straightforward. We could probably go right through them and then come back to this. Oh man, I probably should have. We'll go back one more time. Ooh, not what I wanted. Forward. Right here. We'll copy that one right there. And then we'll boom. SB3, we'll finish this. Come on, what are you doing? Section 61-8B-3. I want to read you some weird stuff going on with 14-year-olds being married to 12-year-olds. This is West Virginia, people. I can't even get this to work. Ugh. I'm trying to learn why 14-year-olds can marry 12-year-olds. Please. What is happening here? This is atrocious. I am a true patriot trying to learn why 14-year-olds can marry 12-year-olds, and the internet does not want me to do that. This is censorship, guys. Come on, what are you doing? I have to stop, reload. Man, this might have to be the end of the stream. Oh, I'm going to be so angry. I mean, my internet's fine. I'm connected. Like, yeah. I don't really have a whole lot running. Excellent. Oh, hey! There we go. All right, good stuff. So, this is more of the same stuff. It says that, you know, what they're supposed to be in prison for and whatnot. They are changing it, it looks like, because it says if you're found guilty of this here, what it says is, here, I'll show you the difference. We'll go here, and we'll open a brand new tab. One more time. Paste. Go. Easy enough. So, when you're looking here, and you go down through, so for violation of this one that we're looking at, this section 61 8B-3, it says that the penalty is imprisonment in a state correctional facility not less than 50 years or more than 150. But it says here that if they are guilty of, it says that they are guilty of sexual assault in the first degree. This is what if you're found guilty as here. You know, if in violation of this code right here, being guilty of sexual assault in the first degree, any person violating the provisions of this section is guilty of a felony and upon the conviction thereof shall be imprisoned in a state correctional facility not less than 15 nor more than 35 years. So, is it 15 to 35? One more time. We're looking at section 61, 8B-3 of this code says state correctional facility not less than 50 years or more than 150 years. But here, over here in the other one, it's saying that it's 15 or 35. So I wonder if they've changed this without actually striking anything, if this is an actual amendment being made so that it's now up, like they've now raised it. I have a very loud cat. I haven't fed him yet, you know, for like the 18th time today, so not really, but he's just a whiner all the time. He probably ate all of his food and now is upset. As soon as I'm off, I'm going to have to give him food, and he'll meow and scream at me the whole time. It is what it is. He's a cutie, though. I'll bring him on sometime. So we'll move forward because it says 61 8B-4, 8B-5, and 8B-7. So we'll look at those real quick and see. Because I'm thinking what's going on here is this is an actual amendment, but they haven't struck anything through to adjust. They're just adjusting. So no less than 10, no more than 25 years. And here for 4, it says not less than 30, no more than 100. So these are amendments being made to make sexual assault sentences longer, significantly too, mind you. I don't know about that. It seems like no less than 50 years is a little bit ridiculous. I think that mandatory minimums are probably bad for most things in general. Just because in a lot of situations, leaving it up to the judge to decide is better, because there can be a lot of ambiguity in a lot of situations like this. I guess for sexual assault of a minor, I'm pretty down with putting them in prison for a very long time. Most of the time, it's really hard to rehabilitate people like that. So I get the need to incapacitate them, but like in a lot of situations like this, like it's legal in this state to be in a relationship with someone who is 16 if you're 18, and if you like turn 19 the next day and have a fight with your significant other, some dumb nonsense like that happens, you get into a big fight, and then they realize they can press charges against you because for whatever reason you're dating someone who's like legally insane. Leaving it up to the judge to be like, I mean, you still did this. It is illegal. What you did is illegal. You shouldn't be doing this. But I'm only going to give you, a year instead. It's a little different than being put in for something like 5, 30, 50 years for something pretty simple. That's why I think judge discretion is usually the best way to go, because it's easier to sift out BS from being close on the ground rather than, you know, being a legislator that isn't working on the case. A lot of times you can see whether or not someone actually deserves the punishment that they've received only if you're up close. But, I mean, these ones don't seem that unreasonable. Let's see. A person is guilty of sexual assault in second degree if they engage in sexual intercourse or sexual intrusion with another person without their consent, and the lack of consent results from forcible compulsion, or they engage in sexual intercourse with someone and they are physically helpless. So, no age stuff here. But if you commit sexual assault in this way, no less than 10 and no more than 25. I think that you can probably put a cap on this one, probably closer to 50. But I guess we do have first degree to make up for that. And then you have, again, sexual assault next in the third degree, which is a person is guilty of sexual assault in the third degree when the person engages in sexual intercourse with or sexual intrusion with another person who is mentally defective or mentally incapacitated. Wow, that's the legal term. Mentally defective. Oh, fuck. This is in the legislature, guys. This isn't I can't make that up. Mentally defective. Whew. Okay. The person being 16 years old or more engages in sexual intercourse or sexual intrusion with another person who is less than 16 years old or who is at least 4 years younger than the defendant and is not married to the. What is with. No, this needs adjusted. Why are we amending this without amending this definition? No. You shouldn't be married if you're 16 and 12. You shouldn't be married if you're 16 and 12. That's bad. Let's stop that. That is child marriage. No. Not married to the defendant. Person being 16 years or old or more, engages in intercourse, sexual contact with a person who is less than 16 years old, who is at least 4 years younger than them. So if you're 16 or older, they would have to be less than 16 and at least 4 years younger. So if you're 16, this is 12. This is 12. You would have to be 12. It's legal to date someone who is 16 when you're 18. Like, the age of consent is 18, but we've already seen that 19 and 16 is official now in this bill. So this whole thing, the math doesn't add up, because if you were to be 19, then your wife would, or husband would be 15 if they were at least 4 years younger than you. And married? This shit's wild. This is the actual legislation. This is what's in our current legislature. And our legislators, our senators are like, yep, that makes sense. You know, if you're married, you can't rape somebody. That's how it works. Okay. Any person violating the provisions of the section found guilty shall be imprisoned in a state correctional facility, not less than 1, not more than 5. So SB 5 has been taken from 1 to 5 to 5 to 25, and the last one is 10 to 35 here. It's probably like 5 to 25 here. So we're looking for 6, 7, F8, B7. Next. Come on, don't mess with me. I'm done with you. It's been repealed. Whatever 6 was, repealed. 2000 and just the regular 2000 session, chapter 85. All right. So, person is guilty of sexual abuse in the first degree. So this is abuse, not assault. Such person subjects another person to sexual contact without their consent, and the lack of consent results from forcible compulsion, or such person subjects another person to sexual contact who is physically helpless, or such person being 14 years old or more subjects another person who is younger than 12. This is the one we saw earlier that they adjusted from 14 to 16. This is the specific section, is section 61-8-8B-8, or -7, sorry. They switched it from 14 to, I believe it was 19 and 16. So such person being 19 years old or more subjects another person to sexual contact who is younger than 16 years old. Any person who violates the provisions are guilty of a felony and shall be imprisoned in state correctional facility not less than a year, not more than 5, or fined $10,000. All right, so 5 to 25 down here, notwithstanding the provisions of subsection B, which is 1 to 5 years. The penalty of any person violating the provisions of subsection A, this whole thing, of this section, who is 18 years of age or older and whose victim is younger than 12, which I think also got changed to 16, shall be imprisonment for not less than 5 nor more than 25 years. Fine, not less than $1,000 nor more than $5,000. So yeah, it's not really, it's still not adjusting the problem all that well. Hey, green is existing code, red is new code to be enacted. Look, it says it up there. They even have like little annotations to help you. Yeah, it seems like they're not addressing all the problems they would need to, but I guess this is a decent start. Strike-throughs indicate language that would be stricken. Underscoring indicates new language that would be added. Okay. Like I said, striking through, underlying. 16. Yeah. So they essentially are adjusting it. Yeah, right here it says same thing. Notwithstanding from the provisions of all of these different sections, you can see 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9. We looked at 4, 5, 7. What was it? 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 7. So all of those are when they are 18 years older and the victim is younger than 16. You get this. Okay. Enhanced. Okay, it does say enhanced penalties for subsequent. Oh, okay. It's subsequent offenses committed by those previously convicted. Okay. See, all you have to do is read, and then you seem less ridiculous. So the ones we were reading over here are your first conviction. These ones are at least your second conviction. I don't think you can get more than two convictions in most of these cases because they're pretty obnoxious. Like I guess you could do third degree a couple of times maybe, but you can get a max of 25, so good luck there. A minimum of 50 on your second go for first degree, so that's rough. Not going to be able to do much there. Okay, so this is reasonable then. So I agree with. I think that these time frames are pretty reasonable for your first offense, and these are very reasonable. And actually, I would argue leaning on lenient, but very reasonable overall for your second offense for a lot of these. Yeah. So this is pretty straightforward, not bad. I would really like to see them address the whole married issue that I keep seeing, where if a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old are married, it's fine, but if they're not married, then like go at it. Like that doesn't seem okay. Um, for 14-year-olds and 12-year-olds to be able to be married. Again, it's still like this is the 2021, but the original code was made in the 1930s. So there's only so much we can do here. But maybe talk about the marriage thing as an issue. Um, you can't just have sex with your husband or wife at any time and it be fine. Like marital rape is a thing. I don't know how West Virginians feel about that though. But anyway, I've been at this for like an hour and I think I'm going to fall asleep. This is absolutely the most boring thing I've done. I'm going to see how I can make it more interesting in the future, but ooh, I think I'm going to have to call it a day here, chief.